Good day, everybody. It's Kyle, once again, your host of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. And today, I'm going to be bringing you some more from the 50th Law book. I first read this book 2011, right when I was getting ready to open the first Newell Strength facility, which was a big obstacle. Not obstacle, it was a big hurdle in my mind, right? You're going from training out of my parents' basement to now taking on this overhead, figuring out how you're going to manage it, how you're going to afford all this equipment and all that. And I remember at the time, I was kind of in a deadline crunch, right? I was starting to pay rent on this place back in Hillsborough, and the township wanted to see certain specs with the flooring. And I kept going back to the flooring company, and they're saying, that doesn't exist what your town wants. We can't provide it. It doesn't exist. We've had no problems ever with this floor, even at colleges, blah, blah, blah. So this book really kind of helped me with my mindset at that point, as far as I wasn't going to fear consequences. I wasn't going to ask for permission. And as you can see, that's pretty much how I've lived my life, is I don't ask for permission to do stuff. I do it, and then guess what? If it was wrong, I'll admit it, and I'll ask for forgiveness later. So this book is one of my top 5 books. I've probably read it 5 times. It's the 50th Law, and I'm going to rip through about 7 things for you this morning, and hopefully these help your week really go down the lane you want it to go down. So I'm going to start at on page 88 in this book. If any of you have it, I know some of you have bought it, you told me. As Napoleon said, so Napoleon Bonaparte is one of the greatest generals of all time. The moral is to the physical as 3 to 1, meaning the motivation and energy levels you or your army bring to the encounter have 3 times as much weight as your physical resources. With energy and high morale, a human can overcome almost any obstacle and create opportunity out of nothing. That's powerful. Now listen, back at that time too, I was the only game in town as far as boutique gyms and small group training facilities go. There was nothing else in Hillsborough. There was another place that opened up shortly thereafter, and I remember the UPS guy right there would always come by, drop off equipment. His son was training with me, and he said, "Oh, you worried about that place over there?" And I said, "Worried? Not worried, because I know my energy levels can dominate the local environment." And I said, I might not be the brightest, might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but nobody is going to have the morale and the energy level that I possess, which will always give me an advantage. And I still believe that with anything. And I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm telling you, once you cultivate this mindset, and it is a mindset, it is a skill, you can pretty much be unstoppable. So the mental to the physical is a 3 to 1 advantage when you embrace that. You continue to work on the physical as well, but remember that. So now let's hop into, our task as an adult is to take full possession of that autonomy and individuality we were born with. It is to finally overcome the dependent phase in childhood and stand on our own. We must see the desire for a return to that phase as regressive and dangerous. Stop waiting for people to hold your hand. Stop looking for a place to plug back in your umbilical cord. Don't do that. You're an adult. It comes from fear of being responsible for our own success and failure, of having to act on our own and make the hard decisions. We often package this as the opposite, that by working for others, being dutiful, fitting in, or subsuming our personality to the group, we're being a good person. But that is our fear speaking and deluding us. If we give in to this fear, then we will spend our lives looking outward for salvation and never find it. We will merely move from one dependency to another. So think about that. Be your unique self. I am fortunate, and I was journaling about this morning. I love the brain. I realized early on in life, maybe that was my mission, was that my brain was my greatest tool and that I could change any circumstance but just my attitude and how I looked at it. When you realize that you don't have to fit in, right? Your brain is very sensitive to judgment. Most people fall into that trap. I know the judgment doesn't mean anything. I don't care if people like me, right? Besides my inner circle. And even then, it doesn't dictate how I behave, right? My point is, don't try to please others. Carry your mission forth and realize that you are a unique being. So let's see here. What you really value in life is ownership, not money. If ever there's a choice, more money or more responsibility, you must always opt for the latter. Think about that. Most people believe that they are driven by money. Money is a great thing, but it's not to be worshipped. It's not to be the goal. And I've made that mistake before too. When that is the goal, it's going to take you off your value path. Money is a byproduct. It's a lag indicator. Ownership. Like I'll tell you, with me and Devin were having these conversations last week. With our gyms, the main thing that I value is the relationships that we forged at Newell Strength with our team, with our members, our friends, towns, programs, different businesses. That's invaluable to me. That's something that I own, is the relationships, right? If you just value it as a transaction, it's not going to be very meaningful. So more responsibility over more money. And when you take that mindset, guess what? The money comes. Okay, next thing I want to go over. Oops, just ripped the page. That's not good. Just a little bit. This is key. Your tendency will be to look at what other people have done in your field, how you could possibly repeat or emulate their success. You can gain some power with such a strategy, but it won't go far and it won't last. Understand, you are one of a kind. Your character traits are a kind of chemical mix that will never be repeated in history. Your character traits are a chemical mix that will never be repeated in history. You must not be afraid of your uniqueness, and you must care less and less what people think of you. That is freedom, my friends. When you stop giving an F, I don't like to curse, but when you stop giving an F what other people think or about fitting in, that's true freedom. Now, I'll tell you from this example, again, because a lot of you have known me for a long time. I see in the fitness field, right, even from the get-go, everybody was doing things the same, right? And nobody was thinking outside the box. Now, I have a unique stack, just as you have a stack, and I'll explain that in a second. But my mentors, the people that influenced me, my coaches, and my mindset kind of made this unique style of training, which is very common now. It was before CrossFit, right? It was, I remember people coming up to me way back in the day when I would train out of a gym, rent space out of a gym, in between the pit and the car and then the first facility. What are you doing? What is that? What kind of training is that? And it was just a unique thing. It was a unique thing. And again, using Newell Strength as an example, it seems to be, when I look at it, and I've had people tell me this, point this out to me, with fasting, with the way we train, with the mind, which I think is going to take longer for other people to catch up to. And I'm happy to teach anybody that stuff. But we're always like 5-6 years ahead of the curve. Now, how is that possible? Well, when you're a leader, you're out in front of the pack. You're not trying to fit into what everybody else has done. You're not just following the herd, right? That's called being a sheep. You don't want to be a sheep, right? Unless that's your goal in life, is to kind of just blend in. That's not necessarily what you want. The uniqueness that you express is not anything wild or too strange. That is an affectation in itself. People are rarely that different. Rather, you're being yourself as far as you can take that. The world cannot help but respond to such authenticity. Now, I get people that'll message me that, hey, so-and-so is copying you with this and that. I don't really care. I think it's amusing. And it comes across as very fake when people try to be somebody else. That's not liberating. You're captive when you're... And I fell down that trap for a little while early on in my career. And then once I embraced, really the past few years, my own uniqueness, it's as if you live in a different reality than most people. Most people stay inside that shell. They don't want the peacock feathers to fly open. And even so, when that happens, you are still going to fit into society, right? Like, as I said, people aren't that different, right? But express yourself, but it's got to be your unique expression. It's got to be your unique expression. People are drawn to authenticity. People are not drawn to copycats and imitators. And I can smell that a mile away. You know, for one of the enemies that I have, you know, it's proverbial, is Tool Boy. And there's many of them in the fitness industry. Tool Boy tries to seem smarter than he is. Tool Boy just copies people and then tries to pass it off as his own. But people don't stick around Tool Boy because it's not authentic. We're just like, you know, with our sensors as humans, we're just like dogs with their sense of smell. We can pick up on BS and inauthentic people a mile away. So if that's you, figure that out and change course as quick as you can. People who are self-sufficient are generally types who are more comfortable with themselves. Things that come easy and fast will leave you just as fast. The only way to gain self-reliance or any power is through great effort and practice. Great effort and practice. The 10,000-hour rule. Focused, consistent effort in what you want to be great at. Constantly. Persistence. Perseverance. These type of things. Imitation is suicide. Just talked about that. But the things that come easy and fast, they're going to leave you just as quickly. There ain't no get-rich-quick schemes. Even the worst shit that happens to you can be converted into gold if you're clever enough. Everything. And Devin will tell you this. This is where you have to really train your mind to be an opportunist and to have a PMA, positive mental attitude. Right? You can either have negative or a positive attitude. I'm going to give you one little trick. If you want to have a positive mental attitude, study attitude and mindset at least 15 minutes a day. You can do that on your drive. Don't tell me you can't do it. But you got to constantly train your mind. When I tore my second patellar tendon, after about 5 minutes of pity, it was, all right, let's go. This is going to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. I remember my surgeon, Dr. Getcha, he couldn't believe the mindset. He actually wanted me to give a talk to all the surgeons because he just couldn't get over that, right? And it was a devastating injury. It was the second time it happened to me. But you turn that into a positive. When we opened the gym 2 Mays ago, May 2020, turn that into a big positive just because I stood by my authenticity and convictions, right? You could take any situation and flip it. And my mindset in life, again, you got to remember this if you're being authentic, because you need a little bit of a thick skin, is any publicity is good publicity. Any PR, any attention is good attention. Right? And usually the people that are going to give you the most attention are the people that dislike you the most. There's actually a great line about that in Private Parts, Howard Stern's bio documentary, whatever. It was a good movie. Even though he's going a little bit off the rails, but the people that hated him the most listened the most. Think about that. Transform every conceivable negative into a positive. Every negative is a positive. The bad things that happen to me, I somehow make them good. That means you can't do anything to hurt me. That's directly from 50. But that's true. That's 1,000% true. And last one. And then it's off to the day. It's talking about George Washington. At no point did he decide to wait for more troops or more money, or better circumstances. He went continually on the attack with what he had. It was a campaign of supreme fearlessness in which all negatives were converted into advantages. A common occurrence in history is almost all great military and political triumphs were preceded by some kind of crisis. That is because a substantial victory can only come out of a moment of danger and attack. Without these moments, leaders are never challenged, never get to prove themselves. If the path is too smooth, they grow arrogant and make a fatal mistake. The fearless types require some kind of adversity against which they measure themselves. You must adopt an attitude that is the opposite of how most people think and operate. When things are going well, that is precisely when you must be concerned and vigilant. When things are going badly, that is when you are most encouraged and fearless. You got nothing to lose when your back's up against the wall. Napoleon is, Ivan Drago's got you in the corner and he's gut punching you and blasting your face and this and that. That's when Rocky comes out swinging. Boom, and he gets that one shot in and he kind of turns the tide. So you need it is mental and spiritual resistance training. Embrace it. Just like you need to physically work out and you need to exercise and you need to sleep and you need to pay attention to your nutrition. That's the physical. But don't forget, it's mind, body, spirit. How are you embracing mental and spiritual resistance training? You need these obstacles. You need these struggles. That's how you grow your wings. That's what it is. It is only out of danger and difficulty that you can rise at all. By simply embracing the moment as something positive and necessary, you have already converted it into gold. That is reframing. That's reframing in a nutshell. So that's what I got for you today. I am off to my day, the rest of my day. Got a couple meetings. Then we got jiu-jitsu. And all good. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the share button. Drop a note. Drop a question. It's the mindset, guys. It's really the mindset is going to determine your life. And thanks for all the support. And I will be back at another hour. Not sure if I'll be back today or tomorrow, but I'll be back.